Welcome back. Well, today I thought we'd do something a little different. Not just a little different for this YouTube channel, but looks to me like it's a little different for YouTube in general. And that is, we are going to talk about money. Very specifically, we are going to talk about how much money I have made since I started this YouTube channel. It was 8 months ago, and where that money is going. And I'm getting the feeling this is sort of a taboo subject among YouTubers because I'm just not seeing people being very open about this. And good heavens, I'm nothing if not open. So we're going to talk about it. This is where we're going to get the answers. So we will get into it when we get back. Well, I got this bee in my bonnet when I was engaging in my hobby. Now, some of you will recall, I'm sure, that at the end of last year, I answered some questions that these questions were supplied by viewers, and they made the circuit among some YouTubers. I was invited to participate, and I said, sure, I'd love to. And one of the questions was, what are your hobbies? And my response, which was earnest at the time, was, I don't have hobbies. I don't have time for hobbies. But in fact, I do have a hobby. So here's my caveat going in. This is going to touch on religion. And I don't think religion has any place in a YouTube video that is not religiously. This is a secular channel, but it's going to hit it obliquely, just a sort of sideways glance. Oblique can be our word for the day. Oblique is a word that comes to us obviously from French, oblique, oblique. And it refers to angles. So you got your plane, and this is the parallel, this is the perpendicular. Oblique is neither. It's somewhere in between the perpendicular and the parallel. So it's an angle, a slant. And so when I say we're going to touch on it obliquely, what I mean is it's a glancing blow. And I love the word oblique. You can use that wonderfully in a sentence. You know, oh, Martha's comments about how difficult communication in families can be certainly were an oblique reference to her mother-in-law who has a bad temper. Oblique is a fun word. You can use it to insult people. I love those words. Because there's nothing like insulting someone and making them run off to a dictionary before they know they've been insulted. Anyway, obliquely hits religion. I watch doomsday cults. I've been doing that since I was a young teenager. And I got involved in this initially. As I say, young teenager, this was the late 60s. My stepfather's Aunt Mary would come and spend holidays with us. Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, whatever. She was always there. And she was there, but she wasn't there. She had like this vacant 1,000-yard stare. Late 60s, we saw the boys coming back from Vietnam. We knew what that look meant. And this is long before anybody understood PTSD. Mary looked like she was shell-shocked. And I don't think the woman ever said a single word to me that wasn't thank you in all the time I spent with her. And I asked my mother one day, well, why are we doing this to her? She's clearly not happy here. And we keep just dragging Aunt Mary over for Christmas and Thanksgiving and the birthdays. And why? And my mother said, well, it's not that she's unhappy with us. It's that her own family belongs to a religious group that does not celebrate Christmas, does not celebrate birthdays, doesn't celebrate Easter, nothing like that. And these are her holidays. It's the only way she has to enjoy the holidays. And she's probably thinking about the fact that she'd rather be with her own children and her own grandchildren, but there's not a lot we can do about that. She's stuck, with her nephew and her nephew's stepkids, and that's probably making her unhappy. And I guess I was about 13 at the time, because my method of dealing with Aunt Mary's unhappiness was to heavily spike her eggnog. It was you want a cup of eggnog, Aunt Mary? Here's the cup, and there's the vodka. And it seemed to improve her mood. But that was when I first became aware of doomsday religions. Her children, and of course her grandchildren, belonged to one of these, end of times, the world is about to end, doomsday religions. And I still tune into, occasionally on YouTube, the people who also are sort of cult watchers. Usually these are apostates from religions that have a sort of doomsday philosophy. And I was watching one of them the other day. The person, they call themselves activists. Their religion calls them apostates. I think you could make a case for either. I got no dog in the fight, so it doesn't matter to me. But I was watching one of these, a reasonably credible young man, talking about why he was making the videos. Now, he's putting out at least one, probably more than one on average, YouTube video a day. They're running about 12 to 15 minutes. They have anywhere from 3 to 5 ads, and they're followed by a request for direct support through Patreon. And he was saying why he was doing it. And I was waiting for him to mention the elephant in the room. Oh, I'm doing it because I want to save people from a cult, blah, 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 blah. And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And at no point does he say, I am very well compensated for doing this. Well, he has to be. When you are running videos every single day and you are running an ad on average every 3 to 5 minutes, you are getting ad revenue. And when you have people supporting you through Patreon, you are making money on this. So, although I started off thinking he had quite a lot of credibility, his credibility was about up here. By the time I finished that video, the credibility was down here like that, because he completely ignored the situation of the financial compensation he was getting for doing this. And that's the elephant in the room. I found that very disingenuous. Disingenuous. We got another word for the day. Disingenuous means not candid, not perfectly open. Usually, it refers to an omission. That's the connotation of ingenuous. If you fail to, or disingenuous, I'm sorry. If you fail to mention something that ought to be mentioned, you're being disingenuous. And when somebody says, this is why I'm doing the videos, when in fact, you're also making your living doing the videos, you're being disingenuous. And I thought about that and said, no. Of all of the things that I would like to be called by people, disingenuous is just not even on the list. So we're going to talk about it. Ads are in my videos, and my videos, because they were sort of a spin-off of the Crazy Lamp Lady, qualified for ads. YouTube has some standards. You have to have a certain number of subscribers, a certain number of viewing hours, and I met that criteria within about a week or 10 days. And that's because I was jump-started through the Crazy Lamp Lady. So I've been doing this for 8 months, and in 8 months, I have received, well, not me, but the channel has received almost $6,000 in ad revenue. So, yay, vacation. No, no. Because just about the time that I started this channel, a 40-foot oak tree fell on my schoolhouse. And although it was, in fact, insured to the maximum that my insurance company would allow me to insure it, that still fell short of the repair costs. And that's often the way it is with older buildings. You just, modern insurance, old buildings just doesn't mix. So the insurance settlement fell pretty far short of the costs to repair the building. So $6,000 went into the account, which, by the way, is owned by the schoolhouse, not me. Schoolhouse account, and went straight to the contractor. And we're not out of the woods yet, because as I say, the repairs were considerably more than the insurance settlement. So the next several months worth of videos are still going straight to the schoolhouse fund. And even then, I'm pretty sure that by the middle of summer, all we will have done was repaired the exterior, the roof, and where the brick had crumbled and so on. But nevertheless, that is what the channel has generated so far, about $6,000. Over 8 months, that's approximately $750 a month in that area. So, hey, this is pretty good. Gee, if I could just figure out how to get my hands on that money, boy, we'd have a good time. We could just go do stuff. No. It'll probably be quite a while before that money goes anywhere other than schoolhouse repairs. But because of the nature of this channel, because here we are dealing with, thrifting and resale, I have another revenue stream that's directly related to this channel, and that's the sales from my Etsy shop. And I took a look at that, the gross revenues from the Etsy shop were about $2,600. It would probably be a lot more if I would just buckle down and start listing more items. I really need to do that. And about half of that, so about $1,300, goes to fees and shipping, because most of my things ship out free, which doesn't mean free. It means the money that comes in, a portion of that has to go to shipping. All free shipping really means is I'm handling the shipping, and the buyer doesn't have to worry about that. It's built into the cost. So I've got about $1,300 from Etsy. That's great too. By the way, that also has a dedicated account. And that has been wonderful, because that has allowed us to do the giveaways and the projects. And the giveaways, even the pen giveaways, are at least $5 per pen, because they have to be boxed, and they go into pretty boxes. You know how I like pretty boxes. They go into pretty boxes, they go into envelopes, they get shipped out. That has to be paid for, even though Lisa is donating her time and her talents to make the pens. Nobody's donating on behalf of the USPS. And that's the way it is with all of the giveaways. The materials have to be acquired, they have to be paid for, and the shipping, and frankly, the shipping is usually the biggest consideration. So I've taken a good hard look at that, and we are breaking even. That's the good thing. This is not becoming like a massive financial loss for me. It's great. But am I making money? No, not me personally. Schoolhouse is going to get fixed, which is good, because, that's just, that building goes back to 1852. It's one of the few remaining one-room schoolhouses in the county. So, yeah, we are doing things with it, but I don't get to benefit in any real personal way at this point. I really need to list more on Etsy. If I did that, I bet I could just yank out some of that money and like go to Tijuana or something. Actually, that's not what I want to do. But this is part of my full disclosure of the finances. This channel and the Etsy shop are not designed as money-making ventures. This was not my goal, especially not the Etsy shop, because I try to keep my prices very low. And as you know, I'm not really diligent about listing items. I tend to prefer the eBay system, and I'm more comfortable, listing on eBay. And I may end up doing that because I think now that we've gotten our feet wet with Etsy, it's probably time to move on and start looking at eBay as another selling platform. I think that will be good for me. I think that will be good for you to go over to eBay, mostly because that's where my real strong experience with online selling is. So that's where I can be of more value to you in terms of what I can walk you through. So I think we're going to have to do that. But in the meantime, please be aware that money is generated by these videos. Anytime you watch someone, on YouTube, watch their videos, they have ads. They are being compensated. And sometimes it's very hard for a viewer to understand that because a viewer is not directly involved in the compensation process. You watch the ad. That's what's expected of you, but you don't have to write the YouTuber a check. It's not as if the money comes out of your pocket, but your participation in the whole process of YouTube's and advertising ends up generating revenue that goes to the YouTuber. So, just for our own benefit, when a YouTuber will say things, and some of the YouTubers I watch, especially these YouTubers who are doing the anti-doomsday cult videos, oh, YouTube's demonetizing my videos, and really, please. YouTube has demonetized my videos because they thought I said a dirty word, and we all know it wasn't a dirty word. I spelled it out. YouTube demonetized one of my videos because I showed a couple of very short clips from Jackie Kennedy's tour of the White House. Oh, and by the way, that's monetized again because I did have the legal right to do that. I'm surprised YouTube didn't recognize that right away. As an educational channel, I am allowed to use those clips for educational purposes, and in fact CBS, who owns the rights to a tour of the White House with Mrs. John F. Kennedy, that was the film clip, the film I used the clips from, agreed, and they said fine. So if CBS isn't worried, YouTube should not have demonetized it in the first place, but these things happen, and having videos demonetized is just a fact of life on YouTube. So when people are saying, well, my videos are getting demonetized, so you need to go over to Patreon and sponsor me. Really? And how much is that really taking out of your pocket? I would feel much more comfortable sponsoring someone on Patreon if I had their financial statement, because you are in effect directly subsidizing them, and I'm not going to give you $10, $15, $25 a month unless I'm pretty clear about the fact that you need it. Certainly, I'm not going to do it because you want a new pool. So keep this in mind when you start looking at videos or you're thinking about supporting someone. You really do have a right to ask how much revenue is being generated from YouTube, from Patreon. If I start asking you to give me money, which I'm not going to do, don't worry about that. But if I were to do that, I would feel obligated to explain to you why I needed the money, to show you how much money I already had, and to make sure you knew fully where it was going. So this is my push for transparency on YouTube, because I have no problem with people making their living on YouTube. No problem whatsoever. But I have a problem when they're not straightforward about it, when they're not saying, I am generating revenue. This is being used to support me, to pay my mortgage, to feed my family, etc. That's something that should be on the table. So, to quickly recap, my YouTube channel is not being used to support me or feed my family or feed my cat. Yeah, it's being used to repair my schoolhouse. And by the way, I've accumulated enough footage so that once I have a chance to do a walk around with the contractor, which I'm hoping for within the next week, I'm going to have a good video for you so that you can see how far they've gotten, because it's pretty interesting, at least I think. But that's where the channel revenue goes. It doesn't even hit my hands. It goes from YouTube into the schoolhouse's fund, and from there it just goes straight to the contractor. And it's probably going to be that way for quite some time, because, as I say, we're not out of the woods yet. We're doing pretty well as far as how far we've gotten in the repairs, but it's not over. So this is what I wanted you to be aware of. Full transparent disclosure in terms of how much money is coming either to me, which then goes to the giveaways, or to the schoolhouse, which goes to the repairs. But this is where it goes. So I like to think that the schoolhouse is a good cause. But of course it's my schoolhouse, so I'm going to think that. But also, because I was not going to let a 170-year-old building die just because a tree fell on it, I feel there's an obligation to the community to keep that building, to preserve it, repair it as best I can. And so that's for the schoolhouse. And for the Etsy sales, it's going to continue to provide funds for the giveaways, for the contests, for the projects, because those things, in fact, do cost money. It's necessary to get materials to do this. And of course, it's necessary to give the USPS money when I ship things out. I do wish they'd allow me to declare myself a nonprofit and ship for me for free, but they won't. Don't think they see things my way. But as I say, I wanted you to be made aware of that so you know what's going on. All right. I'm sorry we missed out on the photobomb kitty. He's out making the neighborhood safe for one and all, and he will probably be back with us next week. I do not think this warm weather is going to hold up, and this warm weather is the only thing that has him out this afternoon. Next week, we are going to do some giveaways, and we're going to start them off. I'm hoping to have 3 back-to-back. One on Friday, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, one on Monday. I'm so sorry about that. I keep doing that. It's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 3 giveaways that I've been having some fun making. So we will see you then. Meantime, if you want to get in touch with me, remember, not just the easiest way, the only way is leave a comment on the videos. I always read my comments, and emailing me at some other email address just because you happen to get a hold of it does not mean that it's going to get to me. In fact, it's probably not. So that's how you get in touch with me. I am looking forward, as always, to reading your comments. You have a great week, and I will see you next Saturday.